Hey, I'm Julie with Back to My Southern Roots, and I'm going to show you guys how to make fudge today. A lot of times people get nervous about making it because it can either turn out too hard or too soft. So I'm going to show you some of my tricks that I have. Now, if you're in, sometimes weather can affect your fudge, things like that, which we have no control over. I grew up in Colorado, and you know how sometimes you have to add extra flour or boil it longer because of the high altitude. So there can be a few little things that can affect it, but I'll show you the way that I do it, and it turns out perfectly almost every time. So we're going to start by putting the butter in the pan and melting the butter. I've already got it heated up. And we'll let that melt for just a second. So one of the things you want to remember when you're making fudge is to measure everything perfectly. We have 3/4 of a cup of butter, which is a stick and a half. So I've got that in there melting. And then you're going to use 2/3 cup of the evaporated milk. Now, they do actually sell 5-ounce cans, and that's the perfect measurement if you're doing this smaller version of fudge. You can double all this and make more. So I'm going to pour the evaporated milk in first. And I'm just going to kind of let that get started. And I'm going to turn my heat on medium high because we're going to try and get this to boil. So one of the things you want to use is this thermometer. This is something you can wait till it boils and then start timing it, but you're really better off if you use this timer, or I'm sorry, the thermometer. And it'll even tell you, if you can see it on there, there's a softball stage. So the softball stage is what you're going to want to get to. It's 234 degrees. This is one of those thermometers that you can do candy on. You've got the hardball stage, soft crack stage, hard crack stage. So this is handy for a lot of things, and they're not very expensive. You can get one pretty cheap on Amazon. I'll put a link down below. But anyway, so we're going to head toward the softball stage, but I'm going to let this stuff melt a little bit first, and then I'll stick the thermometer on. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar in now that I've got the butter melted. And I'm going to stir everything up until it's totally combined. And depending on your stove, it can take, 5 to 10 minutes to get up to that boiling point, that 234. And I'll show you, if you don't want to use a thermometer, what the boiling point needs to look like before you start timing it. I'll get the thermometer put in here. So another trick with the thermometer is that you don't want your thermometer down here at the bottom to touch the bottom of your saucepan, because then it's going to be an incorrect number because it's going to be hotter than the liquid. The bottom of the saucepan will be hotter than the liquid. So just make sure you get it in the liquid but not touching the bottom. And this one has a nice clip right here on the side, if you can see that. And then I just kind of keep it stirring. So if you look kind of below that little red dot, you'll see where it says softball. That's 234 degrees, and that's what you want to get to when you're making this fudge. So if you'll notice the red line below, right below 140 degrees, that's the line on the thermometer that you're going to watch go up to the softball stage. So once that line gets up to the softball stage, then your fudge is ready to take off. So now we're pretty much getting to a full rolling boil, and this is the point at which you want to start timing it if you don't have a thermometer. So see how I'm stirring it and it's still boiling? That's a full rolling boil. So you could start timing it at this point for 4 minutes if you don't have the thermometer. But I have the thermometer, so I'm just going to stir every once in a while, and I'm just going to watch on the thermometer, and it'll climb fairly fast. You'll be kind of surprised at how fast it climbs. So I'm just going to keep stirring for now. As soon as it gets to 234, and I'm a little fanatical, excuse me, about it, I'm going to take it off the heat, and that's when I'm going to stir in my marshmallow, vanilla, and peanut butter. It's a little bit foggy, but you can see that it's starting to climb up closer to that softball stage. It's boiling, and we're going to be at that softball stage here pretty quick. Once you're boiling like this, you are going to want to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn to the bottom. And if it does get a little bit of burnt on the bottom, don't stress over it. It's fudge. You will still eat it, trust me. It's fudge. Okay, so I've got my fudge up here to the softball stage. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the thermometer out. I took it off of the burner. And I am going to stir in a tiny bit of vanilla. I think it's about a teaspoon. Just give that a little stir. Now, I always stir my marshmallow in first, and there's no scientific reason here, but it just melts better. I have an easier time getting it to stir in. If you put your peanut butter in, it's gonna cool it off. So anytime you make fudge, put your marshmallow in first, because it's gonna do a lot better melting when it's hitting that hot liquid. So it's still gonna take a minute to stir it in, but man, it's so worth it. Fudge just might be the greatest thing ever. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this peanut butter in there and then stir it up until it's melted. Ooh, it smells so good, especially when it hits that marshmallow. This is good stuff. If you want to impress everyone, just make them fudge. I would take this every year to the kids' school, and the teachers were always thrilled. And even now that the kids are older, that school still wants fudge. It's a great gift for teachers, for neighbors, and it's not that expensive. You can double this recipe and have a huge pan. Now, I like to pour mine in a smaller pan because I'm one of those people that if I eat fudge, I want a piece of fudge. I don't want some wimpy little fudge. I want a big, thick piece. All right. So now I am going to pour it into my container. Isn't that beautiful? Get every little bit of fudge out. And if the kids were home right now, they'd be running in here trying to lick the beaters and lick the pan. We will literally risk burning our tongue to lick the fudge off of this. So I leave it on the counter and let it set up. It is going to take a few hours to set up. It's not going to be hard fudge. It's going to be nice, kind of in between hard and soft. It's just like the perfect amount. And it shouldn't be crumbly. It should be perfect. So that's how you make peanut butter fudge. And if you have any questions, just ask, and I will be glad to help out as best I can. Thanks. Have a great day. So if the kids aren't home, this is all yours. You don't have to share. So you can make it while they're at school, make it before the grandkids come, and this is all yours. It is so good. It's so smooth, so perfect. The sugar has gotten very smooth in there. There's nothing better than fudge. Enjoy.